Hello, this is Peter and I'm back. It's 2 years ago that I posted a video about a burn on my LG OLED screen. This is the follow-up telling you what's happened so far. Right, well first I'd like to say thank you to everyone who replied, who commented or asked questions, etc. The purpose of doing the video in the first place was to get feedback and to find out whether it was just me or whether it was a general problem. So what I've done is I've replied individually to some of those people, but I'm going to cover some of the points raised now. One of the common points that was raised by several people was to do with how the television is switched off. And in fact, whether it's left switched on at the socket or whether it's turned off with a remote control or whatever. Well, I can confirm that I've always left it powered. It's always been plugged into the socket and it's been turned off only with this. So the pixel refresher has had a chance to run every time. Pixel refresher is a slight misnomer because it's not really refreshing anything. What it's doing is it's leveling everything down to the burnt level. Where it detects a burnt area of pixels, it's making everything else the same so it doesn't stand out. So actually leveler would be a much better term, but it probably doesn't sound as good from a marketing point of view. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the replacement of the panel. Now, as you know, £200 I was quoted by LG for doing the replacement of the panel. And in fact, Richer Sounds, the retailer I originally bought the television from, have come up with another £100 towards it, so it's actually only cost me £100. Now, the reaction to the charges varies enormously over the comments. Some people, quite several people, say shouldn't have to pay anything because basically it's a deficiency of the technology. It's not anything I've done, and it shouldn't be possible to cause a problem like this. And another gentleman from Germany said that basically having the panel replaced in his country would cost €1,000. So I'm getting really a very good deal. So there we go. Anyway, I decided to have the panel replaced. And the way it worked was this. They didn't do the repair here. They took the television away. They gave me a date for collecting it. The only requirement was that I remove the stand first because they don't take that, only the television. They then turned up with a box, a shipping box, and put the television into that and took it away, and it was gone for a week. I was told a week at the outset, and in fact it was a week. So I was in the situation without my big telly for a week. So the bedroom telly got promoted and moved into the front line, as it were, but it was a bit lost, sat on the table there, so I had to devise other means to try and get around that. Anyway, at the end of the week, the television returned and it came back in a box, and the first job obviously was to refit the stand. And when I set it up, it was like a new television. It had had a master reset, a master default reset done on it. So all the personalisation settings were gone. I had to set everything up, tune it in, everything from scratch. So it's 2 years since the panel was replaced, 2 years since I made the first video. So where are we now and what's it like? I'm going to show you a picture taken yesterday of the red screen. I've not changed viewing patterns at all. We've watched the same things. The only difference is we've made sure that the OLED light is no higher than 90. Well, as you can see, results are much better. In fact, virtually perfect. And the other colours are equally good. So history hasn't repeated itself. There were quite a few comments about the possibility that the panel would be replaced by a newer panel with larger red subpixels. And in fact, I'm going to read one of those comments to you. The same thing won't happen again, as LG now use 2020 panels where the red subpixel is now the same size as the other subpixels, so will wear down at the same rate. OLEDs before 2018 had issues with red, as the red subpixels were made smaller than the other colours, causing them to age faster. So £200 was a good deal to get the 2020 panel that removes the red subpixel issue. In view of that comment, I thought I'd have a go at seeing if I could take a picture of the pixels. It's not terribly scientific because I didn't take a picture of the original panel, so this is in isolation, but it is a comparison between the red and the green, and I think you can see here that they look similar in size. Not the best picture. I'm not really set up for doing micro photography. Anyway, it looks as though it's had a happy outcome, because the first screen burnt after 2 years. The second screen, replacement, is not burnt, although it's 2 years since it was installed. So I'm quite pleased really with the result so far. Obviously I'm going to keep monitoring it and make sure that it continues, and if there are any major changes I'll do another video, but I'm hoping very much that this is it now for the life of the television. One thing that this video has proved is that a lot of people are experiencing this kind of problem, and it really is something that applies only to the older screens, and the newer screens don't seem to suffer in the same way. So I bought my television a little bit too early. I bought it in 2018 and it looks like it was a 2017 model. I paid about £1,500 for it, new. So anyway, the only thing left to really say is I was asked about what settings I used, and I use the same settings now as then. The only difference being, as I mentioned, the OLED light, which was a bit higher. It was about 95 or 100 before, and I think that's too high, so it's running now at 90. And in terms of the video mode, it's on standard. It's not in eco or anything like that. I turned off all the eco and the noise reduction and the motion processing and all that kind of stuff. I turn off because I like it without that. And it's running in its basic format. And I'm very pleased with the pictures it's producing. In view of its location by the window, in retrospect, it might have been a sensible thing to have got a QLED or something that's much brighter. However, it's a small thing of drawing the curtains if we're watching something important, so it's not a major issue really. Now the usage. It's been fairly heavily used. I would say somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000 hours a year. So that's quite a lot, and a lot more than a lot of people. So that should be borne in mind with this. Well, that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you found it interesting, and as a follow-up to the problems on the original, you can see that for the moment anyway, things seem to be resolved here. If you're thinking of buying an OLED, my advice would be make sure you get one with a newer panel. Mine was quite old, 2017/18, so the technology's improved, and there are a lot of new screen technologies coming on stream as well. So anyway, but for now that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.